Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am so incredibly pumped to have you here today because frankly, we are looking at something completely unprecedented. We're talking about human performance, sure, but we're doing it through the lens of pure, undeniable mathematics. Today, we're focusing on one teenager who didn't just win at figure skating, he totally shattered its mathematical limits. We're going to dig into the calculus of dominance and how Ilia Malinin has permanently rewired the sport.
76.60. Just sit with that number for a second. In elite international figure skating, podium placements are historically decided by absolute fractions of a point, right? A margin of 2 or 3 points is usually considered a super solid victory. So, how on earth is a 76.60 margin of victory even possible in a sport that's almost always decided by single digits? Honestly, it shouldn't be. To understand why this is such a complete anomaly, we've got to look closely at the scoreboard.
Okay, let's dive into this and look at the exact breakdown of the 2025 Skate Canada podium in Saskatoon. You've got Ilia Malinin sitting at the absolute top with a staggering ISU personal best of 333.81 points. I mean, he just demolished the rest of the field. The runner-up, Alexander Solevko, finished at 257.21, and Cal Miura was right behind at 253.69. A 76-point deficit isn't just a win, it's literally a structural collapse of traditional competition. Malinin isn't just beating his peers anymore, he's operating in an entirely different stratosphere.
Now, what's really wild is exactly where this massive separation happens. The deficit isolates a systemic decoupling specifically in the free skate. The short program gap is about 13.5 points, which is huge, but not totally insurmountable. But when you look at the gap in the free skate alone, it's a staggering 63.04 points. During this specific performance, Malinin posted a world record 228.97 points in just the free skate. He essentially ran away with the entire competition in the span of 4.5 minutes, totally resetting the mathematical ceiling of the ISU scoring system.
So, what exactly is powering this massive point differential? To figure that out, we need to uncover the physical mechanics behind these absurd numbers by looking at the jumps themselves. Let's look at the taxonomy of flight. To really grasp what Malinin is doing, we first have to establish the baseline of elite skating. The standard for elite skaters relies on jumps that feature 4 rotations. You've got your toe loop, salchow, loop, flip, and lutz. Every single one of these standard jump types has been successfully landed with 4 rotations. But Malinin? He dominates by mastering the absolute outlier of the sport.
The quadruple axel. This right here is his ultimate weapon. The quad axel is the ultimate statistical anomaly because it isn't just 4 rotations. Because of its forward-facing takeoff, it requires a massive 4.5 mid-air rotations to complete. Think about that for a second. For decades, biomechanics experts literally debated whether a human being could even generate the rotational velocity and hang time required to land this safely. Malinin didn't just land it. He turned it into a reliable, foundational piece of his routine.
But landing that single jump is one thing. Stringing it together with other maximum difficulty elements is another beast entirely. Let's trace the chronological escalation of the quadruple jump.
Let's walk through these milestones because it is just mind-boggling. In September 2022, we have the genesis. Malinin lands the first Guinness World Record foray at the U.S. International Classic. Fast forward to the World Championships in March 2024, and he lands 6 quads in a single free skate. Unbelievable, right? But then, by November 2025 at Skate Canada, the event we were just talking about, he makes history again by cleanly sweeping 5 distinct quad variations with absolutely 0 deductions. And finally, just a month later in December 2025 at the Grand Prix final in Nagoya, he pushes the boundary to an unthinkable 7 quad payload.
Just think about the sheer architecture of this layout. This is the routine from Nagoya, where he achieved a historic Guinness World Record score of 238.24 points in the free skate alone. He hits a quadruple flip, quadruple axel, quadruple lutz, quadruple loop, follows it up with 2 massive combinations, and finishes with a quadruple salchow triple axel sequence. By executing this, he is harnessing the absolute limit of biomechanical output. The base value of this program is so extraordinarily high that it basically renders his competitors mathematically helpless.
Which brings us to the core issue at play for the rest of the world, the mathematical chase ceiling.
Let's contrast the 2 approaches to the sport right now. On one side, you have the traditional elite skater. They are largely triple-centric or maybe throw in a low-value quad. Because their technical difficulty is lower, they are mathematically capped. They have to rely entirely on flawless execution and high artistic program component scores just to have a chance. Now look at the other side, the Malinin benchmark. It is totally quad-centric. Because the base value of all these quads is so astronomically high, it's virtually limitless. He's protected by a massive technical buffer. Even if he makes a minor mistake, the underlying math still protects him. The crucial point here is that artistry is no longer a substitute for base value. A standard base value means that even with flawless execution and perfect artistic scores, the cumulative total hits a hard mathematical ceiling. But an extreme base value tower, it pierces right through that cap. What you should really take away from this is that traditional competitors are trapped under a chaser ceiling. They are mathematically eliminated before the music even stops playing. No amount of beautiful skating can bridge a 76-point gap.
We have to recognize what we are actually looking at here. This is no longer a story of incremental athletic gains. We are witnessing a literal phase transition.
If you chart technical difficulty in this sport over time, starting from the 1960s onward, you see the slow, steady, incremental slope upward, as athletes slowly figured out double jumps, then triples, then early quads. But look at the jump from 2024 to 2025. It is a sheer vertical spike. This isn't normal progression. It's a complete state change. It proves that the underlying math of the sport has fundamentally broken. The rules simply were not designed to calculate a human being capable of launching 7 clean quadruple jumps in one single routine.
So, to summarize our explainer today, the mathematical limits of the sport have been permanently reset. The era of traditional strategy, where a skater could balance decent jumps with incredible artistry to take gold, that era is completely over. The quadruple era has officially arrived, and it is governed by an entirely new set of physical and mathematical laws, all set by Ilia Malinin.
I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up. We've seen the absolute limits of human biomechanics being tested, and we've watched the math of the sport shatter as a result. But human ambition never really stops, does it? If the math of the sport is already fundamentally broken by a 7-quad payload and a quadruple axle, what happens when Malinin, or the next generation he inspires, tries to fly even higher? Are we seriously looking at quintuple jumps next? We are truly staring into the boundless future of elite athletic potential. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.